Hi, everyone. My name is Laqwanda, and welcome back to the Livestream Wellness Series. I know it has been a while, but I am super excited to have a very special guest with us tonight. We are going to be discussing the cost of emotional labor with Miss Lindsay Anderson, who is the founder of Consciously Coping. So, Lindsay,
Hi, hey Laquanda.
hi, go ahead and introduce yourself for us.
Absolutely. So, my name is Lindsay Anderson. I am a mom, a student, and I am also a mental illness advocate. I am the creator of Consciously Coping, and so Consciously Coping is a online social media platform that has been created, curated specifically for African Americans who live with a mental illness, and for those who support African Americans who live with a mental illness. So that space is a safe space, a haven, a pub, a hub for resources where we can share our experiences, where we have a great discourse. We try to interview people. So it's kind of like a whole gambit. Kind of think of it like a mini version of like own network. That's what I'm trying to get to. But yeah, so that's what I do kind of on a daily basis. And I love the work that I do. And yeah, that's it.
So, when you were bringing up consciously coping, and so I would like for you to share with our audience, what led you to from starting consciously coping.
About, oh my gosh, that must have been 2015. So 2015, I was home. I just got from work. I had a really hard day. And I went online to find a YouTuber who was of color who talked about their mental health. Of course, I went on YouTube. I searched like black people with the mental illness, black people with anxiety, black people with different. Like I was just like throwing things out there, trying to see if the algorithm could like find somebody. Unfortunately, I only found one person, and that one person was you, which is so full circle. With every time we talk, I'm like, this is just a full circle moment. But and that was it. And at the time, I was misdiagnosed with dysthymia. So I was like, well, I loved hearing your stories. I was like, but I feel like, I don't have that same experience. I don't have the same diagnoses. And I was like, I want somebody to, who has kind of my kind of same experience. So I started a YouTube channel and I was like, I don't want it to be mental health every day. Nobody's going to watch me. So I started doing like, let me do hair videos and, like fashion and stuff. And every Thursday, I would do Transparency Thursday. And so that was the day that I got to talk about like something that was on my mind for the week, mental health related, right? So I would get on and I would just like speak from the heart. I would just talk about my personal experience or questions that people had. And so what happened was I got tired of doing it on Thursdays. I got tired of like trying to do hair and makeup and stuff. That just didn't work for me. And so I was like, you know what? I want to do it every day. Like I want to do this every day. I want to have a blog. Like I want to do this like on a consistent basis. So pretty much what happened was I started a blog. I called it I'm Depressed Get Over It at blogspot.com. And I did that for a while. And so the name changed about 4 times. And then finally one day I was like, I need something that people are going to remember, something that you do every single day, something that I'm trying to do. I was taking my son to school and I was in the car. I was like, something you do consciously. Like, what do you do consciously? Like, what are we trying to do? And it just hit me. I was like, we try to consciously cope. And so that day I went to work, I wrote it down, and I was like, "This is the name," and that was it. I went home, started filming, tried to get like my own website, started building, and it just kind of grew. And the YouTube channel, kind of grew exponentially. And then I started talking with other activists. So by this time, more activists came about. And so, I ran into, Depressed While Black and Jessica Jimeno, and I started to see like these other people of color who were talking about their stories, and so things just led from one thing to another, and I was like, I'm gonna do this full on. So now, it's not just online. It's I go speak as well. I try to do stuff in the community. I'm back in school, so I try to do things at the college to promote like mental health advocacy. I'm at a HBCU, so that's really important. So it's kind of like evolved into something bigger than just I just want a YouTube channel, and I don't even do videos on YouTube anymore right now. I've actually taken a break, so I'm actually gonna go back to doing it. Hopefully by August I can start again. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. So, tonight we're going to talk about the cost of emotional labor. Um, Whenever I have someone on as a guest, I always ask them, what is it that you want to discuss? What is it that, you want to share with viewers? And you said the cost of emotional labor. And I was like, because I've heard of emotional labor before, and we think about that in terms of workplace. And
Right.
so, I wanted you to really dive in, by just defining from your context what is emotional labor.
Yeah, absolutely. So you are absolutely correct. We always hear this terminology used in the workplace. However, more often you are now seeing African American women who are activists, who are advocates, who are now using this in the context of a gender, of course, and racism. And so I thought it was really important to talk about this from the perspective of Black women, and how we suppress our emotions. So, you know, not being able to regulate our emotions, doing all of this emotional work, right? And so that emotional work can look like anything: creating dialogue, writing blogs, doing thesis work, doing the hard emotional labor of reliving your trauma, reliving your experience in America, right? And creating these resources for other people to learn and educate. Thus, you'll have somebody come ask you, hey, so how do I not be racist? Or how does it feel to be black? Or how does it feel to be, misgendered? Or so you've already done all of this work, right? And now it is going unnoticed. And now here's somebody in your DM. Here's your coworker coming. They're like, so hey, tell me about being black and living, in I don't know, Washington D.C. And so it's like I've already done all this work. Like there's so many things you can do to educate yourself. And so that's really a big movement I have seen. And I think it's really important for us to talk about it because, especially during this time right now, a lot of Black women have been curating so much. I mean, therapists just have been all day, all night sharing, trying to do free services. I mean, promoting stuff online and just like fleshing out these resources and not really getting anything in return from it. They're just doing it out of, the kindness of their heart. And so I thought like in the context of mental health, I wanted to like kind of explore it. So I kind of like read some articles before this and looked at like Rachel Cargile. She really is someone who talks about it a lot and tried to contextualize it in the mental illness community. And so it's just, as it goes in the mental illness community, what I found was that the conversation was around we always have to share our trauma. And so it's like we're always guiding people like, okay, this is what I went through. This is my experience. We're creating these resources. We're doing these YouTube videos. We're doing, all of this stuff on Instagram. And it's like nobody's really listening. They're like, okay, but I need you to dig deeper. I need you to explain it. And it's like, I've already explained it. I'm exhausted. I don't want to
Mhm.
explain it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's kind of the context I want to talk about tonight is like how, the real cost of that, the real cost of that mental burden, the real cost of that emotional weight, that it can do to the black, I mean any community, but specifically the black community. Yeah.
I think and just it somewhat ties in. When we first got on prior to going live, you asked me, you like, Laqwanda, how are you doing? And, you know, and because it is a lot to put
Yeah.
out the type of content and information and resources that we put out, because the subject matter,
Mhm.
especially now, is centering so much around trauma that we cannot escape. And when we are trying to give ourselves a break, we're having to shut everything down: television, cell phones, no radios, to really center ourselves, because
Yeah.
it does become a lot to do this work, you know, and to make sure that other people are okay. And so it, you know, it's a part of that whole social servant, you know, part of us, but also, I have fur babies, but also it is a part of just really, you know, making sure as we do this work that we're practicing, you know, self care. I'm
Right.
a big proponent when it comes to implementing self care when you're doing this type of work specifically, because as we work, we're working through trauma ourselves.
There
So
you go.
there is a cost. There is a cost. So let's get into this cost. You know, what is the main cost of us, you know, doing this work, Lindsay?
Yeah. So the main cost of us doing this work, of course, the big umbrella is it affects our mental health. And it affects it in many ways, right? It affects us with symptoms as well as behavior. And so we know that this type of work becomes exhaustive, right? We get exhaustion, and then there's something, it's kind of like a snowball effect. So it'll be exhaustion, and you may be able to continue to push through and be strong and kind of work through it. However, other things will arise. You'll have behavioral issues, right? So you may, engage in some, really poor behaviors. Maybe you start drinking, or maybe you start spending additional monies, or maybe you start just anything in that realm, and then symptoms as well. So you may have suicidal ideation, or you may not feel like you're enough, or you may, so all of this comes up, right? So all of these things that we're constantly like trying to move around, and we're trying to work through, we're trying to push through, but we're silencing ourselves, and we're diminishing our voices and our emotions and how we really feel. And so it creates this inability to regulate our emotions. And that is something that is really difficult to do, especially when you have a mental illness. So if you don't have a mental illness, and you're feeling this exhaustion, and you're feeling this, emotional labor, and it's too much, you may have, you may be able to kind of, I call it like digging yourself out of the hole, right? You may be a little more apt to kind of get yourself out of this exhaustive hole. You may know, like, hey, this is my time. I have to stop. I have to take a break. Like, I have to do these things. But when you start throwing in like anxiety and having PTSD, those things, we know when you have these other feelings that arise or whatever, that exacerbates the anxiety, right? So now it's not just emotional labor, because now you're anxious. Now you feel like, I have to continue to do this. This is why. If I don't do this, I'll lose my job. If I don't do this, I'll lose this relationship, this friendship. If I don't do this, I'm not good enough. So then it like snowballs, and it creates this greater issue. So the biggest issue is it really takes a toll on our mental health, whether you have a mental illness or not. And I really want to like reiterate the whether you have a mental illness or not. Having a mental illness creates a different type of challenge. So the way we move and the way we navigate through life when you have a mental illness is not the same as someone who doesn't. And so, like, I want to make sure that we separate those two things, and not to be divisive, but to really understand that the challenges that present our way may be totally different. So yeah, it has a real cost. I mean, physical costs. I mean, people, have, heart attacks and strokes because of emotional labor. They have panic attacks because of emotional labor. So all of these things come up and they arise. And so we have to make sure that we're able to, in the words of Erica Badu, let those bags go. You know what I'm saying? So we have to like find ways to let those bags go. And it takes work. It's not something we can just wake up and, oh, I know how to, take care of myself today. Like I've learned that in 5 seconds. No, it takes work, it takes time. And I think the first step of that is acknowledging that you are, you know, doing emotional labor. And that's difficult. That's challenging for some people.
So, what are some cues that a person may encounter that is, starting to be those indicators that, hey, they're about to go down that slope where the labor and the work that they're doing is about to impact them in a serious way.
Yeah, absolutely. So first you may experience being overwhelmed or overstimulated. And so overwhelming can look like daily tasks are becoming overwhelming. So your inability to converse with people in your house, your difficulty to kind of converse with people, that you constantly talk to on a daily basis. So that may start to feel overwhelming, right? So if they ask you how you feel, it may become overwhelming for you to talk about how you feel. Maybe you kind of retreat back in versus sharing that information. Overstimulated. Maybe too many people overstimulate you. Maybe something you watch on TV overstimulates you and creates this kind of feeling where like something doesn't feel, I don't feel right. You have those feelings where you're like, I don't know what's wrong. I can't really put a word on it, but it just doesn't feel right. Like this is not my everyday. This is not my normal. So, you'll have those overstimulated feelings, and you kind of don't know how to get yourself out. So that may be the first thing that you experience before kind of going down in that pattern. I would definitely say sleeping patterns as well. So if you find yourself not being able to go to sleep at night because you're overwhelmed with all of these tasks, or you may be you may be up and trying to continue to do the work, like I said, you get consumed, and now the emotional labor has consumed you. And so every day it's, I gotta do this, I gotta keep going hard, I gotta keep creating things, people need to learn, people, I gotta help my people or help people be educated. So being overconsumed, and that's the only thing you think about all day long, right? So those are some things that may come up for you as well. And then of course maybe poor eating habits. So you may find yourself not being able to eat, or maybe you're eating too much. And so those are some initial things that you may experience. And of course, like I said, the overwhelming, I think I want to like focus on that because being overwhelmed is so much. Anything can be considered overwhelming. And so if you find yourself, like I said, small, minute daily things or small conversations just become a little too much for you. If you're irritated and you may be like something, I don't know. I don't know what this is. If you can't kind of put a name on it, I would say that would be kind of your first sign as to, you may be doing a lot of emotional labor. And emotional labor looks different for everybody. Because even if you don't have a job, right? Let's say you don't have a 9 to 5, you can still be doing a lot of emotional labor at your house. If you have children, if you have a spouse, if you have a partner, if you're single, you may be doing a lot of emotional labor. So there is no gauge on, who does the most emotional labor, the person that works at the hospital or the person that just stays at home. And so it may look different for everyone, whether it's class, race, gender. And so you have to just kind of really be aware. And like I said, it's a difficult thing to do, but yeah, you want to look out for some of those.
I think for myself personally, one of my biggest indicators is my mood changes.
Mhm.
Um, I become extremely irritated. I become very short, and I don't want to talk anymore. And I'm grateful and thankful for my partner who has learned those cues and will initiate, it's like, you know what, maybe you should go, you know, go debrief, go watch your show, go watch your favorite show, and then let's come back to this later. But it is so key that, and this is the thing, Lindsay, when we're looking for signs that something is about to take place, we have to know what things look like when things are okay. We have to know
Mm-hmm.
and be able to identify when I am okay, when I am stable, when I'm not symptomatic, when I'm at peace. This is what that looks like for me. When I'm not
Right.
okay, when I'm not at peace, when I am overwhelmed, this is what that looks like for me. And when you have those two lists and they're readily available to you, either mentally or physically, and someone calls something out to you, you're not like, oh, what are you talking about? I'm not like that. But you already know, my partner already knows that if I snap, something is wrong, because that is not my, I don't like to use the word normal, but that is not how I present on a regular basis. So
There you
that's
go.
the cue. But we have to know those things about ourselves. That's why I tell people all the time, it is so important to do a self inventory. It
Oh
is
yeah.
so important to know what you look like, what you are doing when you are well and everything is great, but it's also just as important to know what happens with you when things are not so hot. That way, okay, I'm starting to go down a path that, I probably need to start pulling back from. So Lindsay, let's say I'm starting to go down that slippery slope, that this cost, as I'm starting to pay out. What do I do? First, let's talk about the prevention aspect, because I'm always about, if we can prevent it, let's prevent it. So how do I keep myself from getting there? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, one thing, the first thing I would say is to set intention. Before you do any project, before you have any conversation, before you send a text message, before you write a note and mail it, whatever you're going to do, set the intention. What is your intent of this conversation? What is your intent of this work? What is your intent? What is the long term goal, right? So you want to set that intention because that will keep you focused on what you need to do, and that will decrease you want to do more, right? One of my friends said, "Black women, we do too much. Like we just do too much. Like sit down." And I laughed and I was like, "But she's right." And so set your intention, and if this is that intent, then that's what you focus on, right? You don't try to take on too much. You don't try to overexert yourself. You're not like, hey, I want to focus on this and this and this and that. So set your intention, I would definitely say, would be the first thing. And I know, this is something I don't like to use a lot, but practice self-care. And I think I don't like using it because it has become commercialized. And we see it everywhere in stores and songs and blogs and all of that stuff. And self care looks so different for so many people, and so many people sometimes don't have the option to do self care as what is in the blog. But really and truly, practice self care. And self care can be, I mean, it really can be anything. And self care may be you sitting down, writing notes, and saying, okay, today this is what I'm doing. I'm gonna write my plan. I like that. I love planners. I'm the planner queen. I will plan your life, my life, everybody. Like I love to plan. So definitely, taking some time to self care. Of course, detach from social media, detach from friends, family. detach, take a break, take a breather. You don't have to do anything. And I don't want to say detach and say, oh, well, detach and read a book. You don't have to do that if that's not what you want to do. Just detail. You sometimes we have to step away, go within ourselves and dig a little bit deeper into ourselves, right? Spend time with yourself. Like I think we forget that, we are our own best friend. We have to be in tune with ourselves. We have to check in with ourselves. We have to see, like you said, we have to see where we are. And so if we're constantly going and moving and we never stop to take a break and say, okay, how am I feeling? Like how's my day going? How, what have I done for myself today? What have I done for myself this week, this month, this year? So definitely check in with yourself. And I think that what that does is that allows you to gauge and see like where you are. And it takes a lot of work. It does take some work to kind of get there. Of course, other tools you can use. Meditation is a great tool that allows you to check in with yourself. Yoga is a great tool for you to check in with yourself. Listening to music is like there's so many tools that'll get you to kind of do that check in. And something I was gonna say. Oh man, I forgot. But it was something else I was gonna say about checking in. So you can definitely, like I said, checking in with yourself is something that's great to do. So writing those intentions, kind of this, what do I want out of this? How do I want this to look? And guiding that. There's some great journals that kind of do that. You can kind of jot in there. Stepping away, decompressing, stepping back, checking in with yourself, and constantly do a check-in. Check-in is not just something to do today and that's it, and you do it again in 30 days. No, you can check in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a day. Check in with yourself in the morning. Check in with yourself at work. You might like, oh man, I'm in the bathroom. I need to do a check in. So definitely checking in with yourself. I think that will like you that kind of gives you the opportunity to see where you are, and that gives you opportunity to kind of know what you need to do next, right? That'll give you opportunity to say, okay, well, this is I checked in. This is how I feel. This is what I'm feeling right now. Okay, so I know what I need to do. I need to take a break. I checked in with myself. I'm overwhelmed. I need to stop. I need to go eat. Have I eaten today? No, great, wonderful. That's part of your self care too. So utilizing those three things, I think, and they kind of work together, will definitely help ease some of that emotional labor.
So I know, as we had started before we got into the prevention, that sometimes we slip up. We find ourselves in the midst of.
Yep.
And before we know, we're like, what is going on? What is going on? And we feel stuck and we feel trapped because, so many Black women, we were raised or grew up to believe that we have to strap that S on our chest and we have to put that cape on and we have to keep going in spite of, because that means strength for us. So even if it's hurting us, we're still going to try to push, as we were taught to push, and
Hmm.
just pray and push till we get what we need to get done, and then we're left with nothing for ourselves, because while we were pushing, we were doing our stuff for our job, coming
Hmm.
pouring into our partner, or speaking about our children, or connecting with our other family members and friends, giving out advice, running errands, and then we come home because we done pushed all day, and then we gotta take the dogs out or feed the cat, and we done pushed all day, the house dirty, and look, now we gotta clean it, and there's nothing left.
Right.
There's nothing left. So let's talk about how the cost of emotional labor leaves the person who's doing all the work out of the equation. And we leave ourselves out. We leave ourselves out of the equation when we're focusing on taking care of everybody else. How do we pull back from that mindset?
That is really good. So that is something I have always done. And I have been the person to feel like I have to do it all. If I don't do it, then it won't get done. I have to fix everything. There's a problem. I have to be able to fix it because I have taken on this problem, right? I have taken this on. I did not know how to delegate, even with my son at work. I'll do it. I got it. Don't worry about it. I'll do it. Oh yeah, I can take you there. I can do this. And so it's really difficult. If that is something that has been habitual for you, if that's how you were raised, that is something, that you have saw, that you've seen, as you were a child, that's just something that feels comfortable, right? Because now it's like, this is my everyday thing, this is what I do, I don't know how to kind of step away from it. What I can do is give you advice. What has worked for me, therapy. Therapy has worked for me like I can't even say it enough. Because what that did was that gave me someone to help me regulate my emotions. Um, that person was like my check-in. That's like my check-in buddy. That's my hold me accountable partner. And so by going to therapy and talking about these things, she has been able to kind of peel back the layers and let me see just how much this has affected me. Because you think, oh well, I can still do it, so I can just keep going. Like I can keep doing all of these things. I'm still good. I can still walk. I can still talk. I can still breathe. So I'm fine. I'm not. This is not affecting me. But what she has been able to do is to show me just how it has affected me, and saying, what if you did not do 20 things when you woke up in the morning? How about we try that first? How about when you wake up, just do this one thing and see how you feel. Okay, try, delegating with your son and see how you feel. And so as I've been able to do really small steps, it's like I keep having aha moments. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not exhausted. This feels really good. And so, it's just been an eye opening thing. And I think stepping back, I'm serious, like y'all, step just one thing and do that one thing and say, okay, I'm not gonna do 30 things at once, and see how that feels. Even if you feel like people are gonna be upset with me, people are gonna think less than me, I'm gonna think less than myself, just try it. Just try it and see how it physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally makes you feel. Once you've done that thing, and see if your energy is restored. See if you can think clearly. See if you don't have as much high anxiety. And so if that works, then you may need to say, okay, well, maybe I need to put some of this stuff to the side. Maybe I do need to delegate more. Maybe things can get done without me doing them all. Like maybe that can be done. And it's going to be difficult. I think what we find is when people are used to you doing everything, they get upset when you say, I'm not doing that, all of that. They get angry because you have done everything all your life. That's all they know of you. And so when you start incorporating those boundaries, right? You start setting those boundaries up, people's feelings get hurt because now they feel like it's a personal attack. Like, oh, well, why don't you want to do this anymore? Why don't you want to help anymore? Why don't you want to do this emotional labor? And so that's really going to be the challenge, is the other people, right? It's the external environments. Not the internal is going to be, I mean, it's going to be some work too, but the external environments are really going to be difficult. That change is probably not going to go over too well. But I think what you find is that when you start taking care of yourself and you start looking at yourself and sitting those things down, and stepping back and stepping away, you'll find yourself being able to have more energy to do other things, right? You'll be more creative, right? You may have like more creative ideas. You'll have more time for yourself. You'll be like, wow, I've been wanting to watch this TV show for 5 weeks now. I actually have the time to do it. And you may laugh. And you may find yourself saying, wow, I haven't laughed in 5 weeks. So, those little things will start to show themselves and build themselves once you start sitting some of that stuff down, you start delegating, giving those tasks off. And like I said, it's a challenge for both parties. And it's gonna come from both ways. It's gonna come from external, your people, people outside of you, and then yourself, because you're literally untraining your mind. You're unlearning that I have to do it all. And that's hard because your mind is already, now you've rewired it, right? So now you're like, oh no, I have to do everything. So your mind is gonna be like, no, what's wrong? This is not what we do. We don't do this. But over time it'll get better, and it may be a slow process, it could be a fast process, but it's going to be a process, and so just try to take that time, have compassion for yourself, and try to forgive yourself for kind of overexerting, and I think it'll you'll see a difference. That's what it's about. Like, you want to live a healthy life, you want to live a happy life, and that's going to be some of the work you got to do. The work is not fun. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be, it's not like Barney where everybody just kind of work together and everything works out fine. It's going to be some work, and it's going to kick your butt some days. But I think once you really see how you feel and you see that change, you'll know, like, I did the right thing. Then you'll say, okay, I did the right thing. I feel better. Yeah.
I think, in this whole context, I had a session with my psychologist and I was telling him everything that was going on. And he was looking at me like this. And I was like, so this is happening and this is happening. And he was just looking at me. And then he said something so profound. It like stopped me. He said, Laqwanda, to reach your goals, you don't have to do the hardest thing in the world all the time. And he was like, do you not realize that you have a history of trying to take the hardest path to get to where you were wanting to go, and it's not necessary? And he's like, you're causing yourself so much stress, so much pressure, and you're ending up exhausted. It was like, you don't have to do that to yourself. And it made me stop. I was like, I am doing this to myself. It's like, why am I walking up the mountain when somebody is offering me a Jeep Wrangler to take a drive? Okay, what? What am I doing? If my goal is to take pictures of the sky from a mountaintop, it don't matter if I get there by foot or get there by a Wrangler. I'm gonna take the Wrangler for 500, Alex, and go on about my business. We have to start thinking that success for us means taking the hardest path out there. We have to learn how to be critical, efficient thinkers that allows us to save our emotional energy when we're trying to do this work.
Yes.
Because once your emotional energy is spent, you either need to have a team around you that can fill you up quickly. He's sitting there for a minute trying to get it all together, because guess what? People still gonna try to pull on you. People still, and then you hit it on the nose.
Right.
And then
You're right.
get upset. They'll get upset with you. How come you ain't checking on me? How come you ain't making sure I'm all right? How you ain't texting me this week? Like, look, I'm in my bed and I ain't heard from you. I'm 4 weeks. You don't get a text from you. You didn't call to check on me to make sure I was okay. You gotta be the one. But see, that's the whole thing. My rib hurt now. But that's the whole thing, though. We don't have to take on, checking on 75 people if we don't have the strength to do so. And we have to be honest. And the most beautiful word in the world is no, or I'm sorry, I can't do that, or I'm not in a position to do that right now. Um, let me see if I can find someone else who can better support you than I am. Than I can. I can't be. I'm not in a position to be able to give you that support that you need at this moment. It's always a way to say I can't do it because
Oh yeah.
I refuse. I refuse to do this work that I absolutely love and am passionate about, and it is my purpose. But I'm not finna end up on the floor to do it. I will do this before I end up on the floor. But you should never get to that point. That's the whole point of this conversation. It should never get to that point because we have to actively actively care for ourselves. And I love the way that you said that self-care has become so commercialized. There are so many things about self-care that have absolutely nothing to do with money. It's ridiculous. It has absolutely nothing to do with getting your hair done. It has nothing to do with getting your nails done. It has nothing to do with a spa day. Part of self-care for me is going somewhere to see if I can find a pair of earrings.
Yes.
That no, hunt for a pair of earrings. That is 100% self for me. Spend my $1.06 and go home. Or sometimes it's just like sniff, smelling oil, lighting some incense. That was like what I got what 10 for $1. I mean,
You did good.
girl, just lighting some incense or running my hands in some cool water in the dark with the bathroom light off. Just listening to some relaxing music, getting my mind stimulated and feeling other things, feeling coolness around my body. There's so many different things that don't cost you money. Is it listening to chimes? That used to be a beautiful thing that I would used to listen to sound bowls. I would listen to chimes. And when I can't sleep, I turn on thunderstorms, on YouTube. Stuff that has nothing to do with the cost of money.
Right.
Coloring, simple coloring. I walk around. I take coloring books to work. They be looking at me. I don't care. I got
Whatever.
clothes.
Whatever. I'm with you, girl.
So
Whatever.
it's not this commercialized. I have to go get my hair, nails done, spa day, take a trip to. I ain't taking a trip nowhere right now. But I go here, go there. Is that's not what it's about. That's not everything that caring for yourself is about. I do self-care every single day and I don't have to leave my bedroom to do.
There you go.
You know,
Absolutely.
and it's so much that we can do. So much we can do because the cost of emotional labor for us, for women of color, is so high, we become exhausted. And when we become exhausted and we can't do the things that we need to do, it beats us up inside because we feel like we should have been able to do it. I used to
Yep.
tell myself, you should be stronger than this. Your mother survived domestic violence and you're sitting up here crying because you're having problems at work. I would beat myself up over because I wasn't this strong figure that the universe told me that I should be. Not really understanding that I'm the person that get to define the word strong in my life. I mean, So it's so much. It's so much. It's so much. So Lindsay, let's continue with the conversation because I once I get on the mic, once I get on the mic, I'm on the mic. But but for the individual who's in the midst of that level of exhaustion, that level of frustration, how can we bring them, back to a place of being centered and peaceful? Hold on, I think Lindsay, you may. Okay, Lindsay, let's switch back. It seems like Lindsay has paused for a moment, so we are going to wait for her to get her connection to get back. But while we're waiting for her connection to get to come back, she's off, so she's going to be coming back in shortly. The whole purpose of this discussion is knowing, and I will always say it goes back to knowing yourself. Now, not everyone has a mental health condition. Not everyone has a mental health condition. Individuals who live with mental health conditions, when they are dealing with certain things, they run into triggers that affect them and may cause them to respond, whether it's dealing with symptoms or dealing with certain symptomatic behaviors and things of that nature. But every person on this earth has mental health. And most people know what it feels like to be exhausted. Simply imagine going to work and having an extremely stressful day, and you come home, and the only thing that you can do is go to your room and lay down. What if that's the only thing that you can do? Because your emotional tank has been emptied by what took place at work. Now imagine if that happened to you every single day. Every single day you went to your job, you got emotionally drained, and you came home. And then the next day that happened. And the next day that happened. How are you feeling at the end of the week? Do you have anything left to give yourself at the end of that week? And for most people, they don't. And if they do have something to give themselves, sometimes they're pushing it, sometimes they're faking it until they're making it, and then they're coming home and they're having to deal with the reality of how empty they are. And so we want to have discussions like these to ensure that, we are filling ourselves up so that when we do the work that we do and that we are putting forth these efforts, especially now when we are promoting the well-being, the safety, the lives of our community, that we are caring for ourselves against this trauma that we face when we walk outside these doors, because it's real. And Lindsay is back with us. Hold on, Lindsay, we can't hear you. Check your mic.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. I haven't had any problems all week with this mic. I mean, with this internet. All of a sudden today.
That's all right. We're almost through, so we good. So, Lindsay, we were talking about for the person that's in the midst of what is it that
Mhm.
they can do to start pulling themselves out?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So if you are in the midst of it, let's say you weren't kind of able to stop it before you kind of got to that next step, right? Let's say you're already deep within. So of course, the first step that's going to take is going for you to acknowledge it, right? Let's say you have gotten to the place where you now acknowledge it. So you acknowledge it,
So, as Lindsay was indicating, the first step is to acknowledge. And we talk about that so much that regardless of what is going on or whatever you're going to be dealing with, your first step has to be acknowledging the situation. You cannot expect to move forward and you're not acknowledging where you are right now. Now, I know certain people will say, well, I don't want to speak what's going on and things of that nature. But I am a firm believer of calling out how I feel, what is happening to me, what is going on. Because when I call those things out, when I place those things into the atmosphere, I immediately know what I am going up against. I immediately know what plan I need to develop. I immediately know, okay, this when this happens, these are the things that I need to do in order to maintain my wellness and to pull myself from here.
I switched to my phone, so hopefully it's
Okay, we're good.
okay. So what I was gonna say, so let's say you have gotten to the place where you now acknowledge it, you know, hey, I'm doing too much emotional labor, right? So some steps that I would suggest that you can take to get yourself out. So now you're there. If you are to the point where you cannot get yourself out, reach out to someone who can help you, a mental health professional, right? So you might want to start there. If you're not to the place where you feel like, okay, I think I can kind of withwind myself out of this and I have the capability to do this, I have the energy to do this, right? So, what I would suggest doing, of course, is maybe sitting down, writing down what is causing me to feel this way. What are bringing up some of these feelings of I'm doing too much. I'm doing too much emotional labor. Sometimes when we see things on paper, they really exist. So sometimes when we see things foreign in our face, it makes it real. And so then you're able to kind of see and say, wow, oh, I kind of need to take a step back. So if you're in it, write down that list. Maybe writing a sticky note. Right? I mean, putting it on your mirrors and being like, you know, this is what I'm doing. This is what I need to do. Prioritize. Make those priority lists. Kind of like Laqwanda said, you don't have to do the hardest way out. So write that. You don't have to do the hardest way. Sometimes you can take the easy route if you want to take that long hike up the mountain. To be my guest. But if that's too much for you, then write those things down and write out your priorities. You can have it all. You can do it all, just not all at the same time. You can't do it all in one day. So really write those things down and visualize it and look what you see. Sometimes setting a mantra for yourself. So if you're in deep and it's like, okay, I know I can dig myself out. Here's some things I need to change. Wake up in the morning and set your mantra. Set your day. Start your day off. Create that routine. So, and a routine is different from a plan. So, a routine is something you do like on a daily basis. So, your routine, maybe I wake up, I drink tea, I use the bathroom, I sit and read a book for 5 minutes. That's your routine. You haven't planned that out. That's not something you've written down in a journal. It's just something you do on a daily basis. So trying to create this daily routine to set your day, start your day off. And then if you want to plan, if you're a planner type person and you're in it, like I need to plan my day, I need to plan how I'm gonna do this, I need to plan this conversation, I need to plan how I'm gonna tell these people no. If that's what you need to do, then you can also do a plan as well. And so those are a few things that so just some advice that I would do to get myself kind of out of that. And like I said, the first step is really acknowledging it. And so if you see it and if you feel it and you know it, call a thing a thing. You got to call it what it is. Don't be afraid to name it. Don't be afraid to say, I'm doing too much. This is too much emotional labor for me. What do I need to do to get? What does not doing too much emotional labor look like? So those kind of things, having those conversations with yourself. So once you start seeing it and you're in deep, you got to say, okay, what is it? What am I doing? What is this doing? What is my daily day? What does my day to day look like? What is causing this emotional labor? Where did it start? Who is it with? Is it a certain person? Is it a certain, try to dig deep and kind of figure it out. Because I think sometimes we don't get to the root of issues, and that creates a huge issue in the future. But definitely getting to the root of the issue and saying, okay, how did I get here? What led me here? I kind of step back, take a few steps back and say, oh, you know what? you know, last week I did X, Y, and Z, and now I know why I'm here. Great. So how can what do I need to do moving forward? So that goes back to setting that intention, right? That goes back to setting that intention, having that conversation with yourself. It is okay to talk to yourself. I do it all the time. So have those conversations with yourself. And so once you start doing those things, maybe you'll see yourself digging out. But if you get to the point where you say, okay, none of this is working, I've tried it all. I've tried to talk to myself, tried to have that intention, set my routine. I've tried to write things down. I tried to see how I got here. If that's not working, you may need someone to help you co-regulate your emotions. You may need someone to kind of kickstart with you and to get you, back to center. So that may be your next step. So therapy is never, is like I said, is a great tool. And so I don't want anybody to think you can never go. It's okay to go. So yeah, those are just some few tips.
So, Lindsay, we have come to our hour. So I just want you to leave us with some closing words that you have and how people can connect with you.
Absolutely. So I want to say thank you so much to you, Laqwanda, for having me. Also, thank you to everyone who stopped by to chat with us and to have this conversation. I hope you walk away understanding that you deserve to be happy. You deserve to be emotionally happy. You deserve emotional wealth. You deserve emotional peace. You deserve that. It's not that you're worthy of it, because worth in our society is I have to do something to be worthy. You don't have to do anything. You deserve it because you are here. So you are deserving of peace of mind. You're deserving of rest. You're deserving of self care. So do not, I hope you walk away understanding that you do not have to be the say all, be all, do all. So you deserve that peace with yourself and that inner peace. If you're giving out emotional labor to everyone else, then guess what? You need to do something for yourself. You deserve that. So I hope you walk away with that. And just, you can find me on all social media platforms, on Consciously Coping. So all of my handles are at Consciously Coping. I'm mainly on Instagram because I love pictures. So you can find me hanging out on Instagram all day, swiping through, posting up things, as well as Facebook. Sometimes I do things on there as well. Check out our website at consciouslycoping.com. You can find a mental illness advocate directory. We have different resources up there that we share, different video content as well as blogs. And we're working on some police reform stuff right now, trying to build some partnerships with that. So yeah, you can definitely check me out there. If you want to contact me, you're more than welcome. My DMs are always open. You can always message me. I also help people look for therapists. So like if you're looking for one and you kind of don't know where to go, just shoot me an email and I will kind of get your info and I'll try to find whoever I can. And or you can email me at coping.consciously@gmail.com, and I'll respond to you guys within 24 hours. Give me some time, but I'll definitely get back with you. So again, thank you, ladies, gentlemen, my non-binary, gender-conforming people. Just take care of yourself, and like I said, you deserve peace. You deserve emotional peace. That is not something you're worthy of. That is something you deserve. That is because you are here, so you deserve it. Other than that, that's it.
Thank you so much, Lindsay, for joining us. I really, really appreciate it. You can also find Lindsay, who is a new contributor to Healing Black Women. She has joined the Healing Black Women. She is one of our new website contributors, so you will be able to get more wisdom from Miss Lindsay on our platform, which is healingblackwomen.com. And you can also catch this video either here on Laqwanda's Heart or on healingblackwomen.com website. Well, that is the website. So thank you so much for joining us. We truly, truly appreciate it. And heads up about the show. We are starting the new season now. It's going to be once a month. So if you know anyone who may be interested, who are doing awesome things in their community or have an awesome story of inspiration, motivation to share, just have them to reach out to me on Instagram at Laqwanda's Heart. Thank you so much, you guys. Bye.